Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo, which obviously in action next week, May the 8th. From the outside looking in, there looks to be kind of a few cracks. We've spoken about kind of Billy Joe Saunders before, but there seems to be, these videos obviously with Tyson the other day where he was saying whatever he was saying about matchroom, etc., and Billy Joe was there as well in the video. But there does seem to be kind of some cracks appearing there in your relationship with Billy Joe.
At the end of the day, they feel that I'm favouring Canelo Alvarez. I'm not favouring Canelo Alvarez. I promote both guys. I've delivered this absolute huge fight for both of them. The fight they all wanted, right? In Billy Joe's case, he joined Matchroom because he wanted me to make these kind of fights. I delivered it for him with an absolute shed load of money. If he's saying the money, he's not bothered about the money. He's also getting the legacy. He's getting everything that he needs. Absolutely every word to that contract will be honoured. I went to see Canelo Alvarez and I went to see Billy Joe Saunders. Canelo Alvarez does happen to be the pound for pound number one. He is the A-side in the fight. There's a lot of, attention around him. Billy Joe has basically refused to do any media, so Canelo is doing all the media. So, of course, the media attention is on Canelo Alvarez because he doesn't want to do any.
What reason is he giving you that he doesn't want to do media?
He just doesn't want to do any media. So this week he's refused media, but it's all right. Look, it's not unusual. Sometimes people just don't want to do it. They want to focus on the fight. I think a little bit is him and Tyson rattling themselves up, us against the world mentality, which I think is great for them. But I can't. I've done everything I can for Billy Joe Saunders. I've backed him when people said I shouldn't have backed him. I've delivered for him when others couldn't deliver for him. I can't do any more than that. And if at the end of the day, if you don't like me, if you don't want me around, no problem. I'll give you the opportunity. It's sport, and you got the chance to become a British boxing legend.
Those are the words of Eddie Hearn. And of course, Eddie Hearn talks a lot, as you heard. Okay, and let's counterpunch most of the things that he said. He said that he's done all he could do for Billy Joe. He's got him a lot of money. He's got him the fight that he wanted. He came to Matchroom to get exactly what he got versus where he was, and we know where he was at, right? And he's not favoring Canelo Alvarez, but acknowledges that Canelo Alvarez is the pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world, on top of being the A side of the equation, on top of having the attention around him, on top of wanting the attention around him because he's doing interviews. And Billy Joe Saunders doesn't. He doesn't want interviews. And me counterpunching this portion of what Eddie said, I think Billy Joe is getting pumped by Tyson Fury. I think things can happen like that in similar ways. Let's look at it this way. That's just like Canelo Alvarez talking to Ryan Garcia because Ryan Garcia signed with Golden Boy. Based off, we already know that Canelo Alvarez just did an interview with Ben Singer, with Graham, saying that, hey, all the dirtiness and the things of Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy and the things that they did to him, he could influence others to do that. I think he has too much integrity for that, go figure. But that's, to give you an example of what could happen, I think that's what's happening with Tyson Fury and Eddie Hearn, since he's with Frank Warren and then he's with Eddie Hearn. Anything that, since they're both friends, anything that Eddie Hearn does that might appear negative or not quite right will be amplified 100%. Okay, that's what I think off the top. And, that's what's going to happen when you have good friends that do the same job that work for different promotional companies. Okay, that's what I look at. That's what I see off the top. So it didn't surprise me that Tyson Fury's talking shit about him because Eddie Hearn promotes Anthony Joshua, his rival, right? Now, moving on, Eddie Hearn also stated like, hey, if you don't like this, I'll give you the opportunity to basically get the hell out of the promotional company. That's one thing that stuck out to me. amongst others, that spiked interest when I heard that, and it's basically like, yo, I did all I can do for you. I did more than anybody else can do for you or did for you. And if you don't like it, you know where to go. That's pretty much it. So it was more like a smooth warning. But before the smooth warning appeared, he broke down bit by bit what he did, how he did it, okay, and why he did it. He did it for Billy Joe. He did it so he can get these opportunities. And me counterpunching this whole thing, I think Eddie's absolutely right. The only thing I do want to know, though, is what Billy Joe's concern was. Not the favoritism, but like as far as the favoritism. The British judge. See, that's major importance. That's the hashtag Canelo on points type of situation narrative, okay? So I wonder, did they square that out? Because Eddie Hearn did say, hey, I stood by every word and I honored every word in his contract. So if that's the case, what about this particular judge? Did that get squared away? That's something that I would want to know that I don't have the answer to. So I'm going to leave that there. However, everything else, you talk about Eddie Hearn, me counterpunching Eddie Hearn. What is the one factor that no one complains about with Eddie Hearn? Money. Okay? Cash, liquid. You never hear about that. He gets you the money. He gets you the fights. He makes it happen for you. Now he does that. So the question you ask yourself about Billy Joe, though, honestly speaking, where would he be if he was still with Frank Warren? That's all you ask yourself. Counterpunch. Where would Billy Joe Saunders be without Eddie Hearn? Okay, so I think him addressing it like that, it wasn't disrespectful, but it was definitely a warning to a promise. Because it's like, hey, we've done no more, and I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're saying this, you're saying that, but he just said, hey, basically, I will let you out of this particular situation. And at this point, you're the B-side guy complaining about the promoter that promotes both of you and saying that the A-side guys has more speed and steam and attention. But I mean, that's what he's supposed to get, especially when Billy Joe doesn't want to go on tour of promoting himself or promoting the fight and putting himself in the limelight. He doesn't want to do that. So maybe this is probably something Billy Joe Saunders needs to be Billy Joe Saunders, to be the best Billy Joe Saunders. So I also agree with that, because it could be a cop-out. It could be like a psych-out scheme, or a technique for Billy Joe. It's like basically, hey, everybody's against you. You know what? And I'm going to show everybody wrong too. So I'm going to fight that much harder. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Eddie Hearn stating the obvious to Billy Joe Saunders in response to his video with him and Tyson Fury on that blasting Eddie Hearn. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.